All right. Hello, everybody. And we're back after technical difficulties. Ham, before I even get started, talk. No kidding.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm
I
just
was
fucking with
I was gonna have a fucking meltdown. I was gonna have a fucking
And
meltdown.
I was like, oh, I'm
Gee,
just gonna hold it for like 3 seconds and see what happens.
fucking turn my computer off and throw it out the window.
Pull the Ron Swanson, just pack that shit up
I might have. Oh my god. Okay,
and
so
throw it
we
in the
got we got
dumpster.
sound. We got sound. That's all we fucking needed to work. So we can actually get into the intro. Like I mentioned earlier, there are things to talk about. Obviously, there's quite a few things to talk about. But before we get into any of that, intros. Ham, you're gonna start us off. What have you been playing? What's been going on? And how's it going?
So I thought I was at the end of the game of this because it says point of no return, which is avowed. But I
Mm-hmm.
think it's just a point of no return for the decision that I make.
Yes.
And I didn't know that. So I am really happy to hear that because I was really worried that like I wasn't going to be able to like make any like interesting decisions. I was feeling like I was like, man, this game's although like I'm not like a masterful fan of the story. I do like the story. I'm just like I'm not a big fan of the person stuck in your head.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of dialogue.
It's too much for me. Like I
Mm-hmm.
just like I can't take it anymore. Um, it's just too much, and it's just a lot of vagueness, right?
Yeah.
And I get like you're a god, you do vague, and that's what God usually do. You read the Bible, it's nothing but vague, interpretations that you're supposed to have of your own. And like I get that, but like it's just I don't know. Sometimes it's so off the wall and just wild, and it just sounds to me it's just so whiny that like it gets annoying sometimes. Like I love the main missions with or not the main missions but the regular people missions and the and just like all the type of people's missions in the game I like, just not I just don't like the moments where I have to listen to the thing in my head, to Sapadal. Like
Mm-hmm.
anytime Sapadal speaks, I'm just like, what do you want? And like it got to the point where I was choosing those type of choices because they have stuff like that, like in the game where it's like it's almost like they knew this person was annoying when they made the game. And it's just like, man, I can't take it. Like it makes me wish I didn't take any of the powers from the beginning of the game at all. Because it's just like I don't like you so much. I just wish you'd take all your stuff and go away. Get out of my head.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
everything else I like about the game though, for sure. Like combat is what keeps me coming back. The little banter between Kai and Morris and Yatsley and Giada, those are fun. Sometimes Giada is a little long-winded too, but I can handle her over Sapadol.
I'm right there with you. So, like, I kind of have the exact same sentiment on Avowed. I don't like. It's not the greatest story ever, but if I'm being real, Outer Worlds wasn't the greatest story ever. It was a solid story. Um, I know people like to laud New Vegas is like the fucking greatest thing ever. Fallout New Vegas' story wasn't that great either. It was solid. They made solid stories for all three of these games. Um,
I
and
think they didn't overkill with dialogue in those.
yes, so that's kind of the different. Obviously they make RPGs, so there's dialogue and everything, but and I feel like for 90 I don't know, 95% of this game, the dialogue is pretty normal. It's until you get to what Ham's talking about, like that voice in your head in this game and the dialogue you have between you and that voice. Dude, there's. I remember early on in the game, or relatively early on, I was in the first area, where like I was still. This was when I was still not skipping everything that thing was saying. I'm not gonna say I skip everything that thing says, but like now I skip a lot of it. But like back then, I wasn't skipping anything. And dude, I mean, you could just sit there and listen to this thing talk for like 15 minutes at a time, probably. And
Yeah,
I'm just like, dude, that's a fucking lot of dialogue, man. That's so much dialogue. Raichi
and
says
it's not, and it
the
feels
last
like you're
stream
not
was
talking
amazing.
about anything.
That's like I don't feel like I'm getting anything done. I talk for 15 minutes every now and then I get a power, which is cool, but like dude, it doesn't I don't got to talk to that thing for 15 minutes. And that's why like I'll say 50% of the time now when I'm talking to that thing, I'll just skip. I'll just skip. I'll skip the first two lines of what they're saying. I'll skip the first two turns of them talking. And if my responses aren't interesting in the first two responses that I have, I just skip. I just skip because I assume we're talking about nothing. So I'll just skip all that stuff. But outside of that, you mentioned it, combat. I mean, it's so fucking good. I actually have gameplay here where I'm getting used to like using a bow and everything. I made another character that's separate from where I am right now because I wanted to get gameplay, but I didn't want to have spoilers or anything in it. So I made another character where I'm just using like a bow. I think I use a pistol and a grimoire. So that's all this gameplay is right here is me getting used to doing that. So it looks a little funky, but once I get used to it, I understand what I got to do and everything, and it looks a lot more fluid. But dude, the combat in this game is so good. I also figured out. I don't know if you've been doing it, but like when you go into level up your character and stuff under like wizard, the different spells, and I only just found this out recently, so maybe I'm probably an idiot here. But the different spells that you get in there, I always thought like, why would I need those? Because I already have them on my grimoire. I don't need them, right? And then I realized, oh, those are just spells. Like when you unlock them, you can just use them with or without the grimoire. You don't need the grimoire, so that's why
Yeah.
those are there.
Uh,
And dude, I
yeah,
did.
yeah. You can hot. Yeah, yeah. You can like hot load those or like whatever you call them, like put them on your
Mm-hmm.
hot bar or whatever you want to call it.
Dude, I just found that out like I don't know, 2 days ago probably.
Yeah, man.
Um,
I have a dope ass grimoire with a dope ass what is it called, stick,
oh, wand,
wand, I
yeah.
guess. And I put stuff in my hot bar as well that I can just call and out. My whole thing is I run out of essence kind of quick though.
Oh yeah, yeah, dude. I have to every time I'm in a town or near a merchant, I stop to see if they have essence potions because I can find health potions. Plus, I have a lot of shit that just heals me in
Well,
general.
I have a ton of potions. I just always have to use them after I get done
Yeah.
because it uses a lot of essence from my bar, is what I'm saying.
Yes. Exactly. Reishi says I'm excited to play Valor, but I'll wait 2 to 3 major updates and hope they add stuff in the game. I'm not sure what else they would add. Maybe like features. I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that. But yeah, I mean it's a great game. So whenever you get around to it, I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll enjoy it. Um, but yeah, I mean shit. We talked about a lot about Avowed last week too, and that's kind of what we've done so far. But yeah, I still haven't beat the game. I'm in the final area of the game. Um, so I got a little ways to go, and like I said, I got a whole other playthrough going at the same time. Um, water physics on all water sources, fishes everywhere. Oh well, water physics would be cool. I don't know if they're gonna add fishes. Maybe they might. I guess anything's possible. But yeah, I've been enjoying the game. I honestly was thinking about um, getting it again, or not again because I don't have it. I have it on Game Pass, but getting it on on Steam. I don't know yet. Because Assassin's Creed Shadows comes out in like it's like shit like 20 days. So there's that. But we'll see what happens with all of that. I'm very excited for Assassin's Creed Shadows. But in terms of what I've been playing, I mean, shit, we just talked about it. It's really just Avowed. It's really just Avowed. Hasn't even really been much of 2K because I haven't been on most nights the past, like, I don't know, 3, 4 days. But I mean, when I am online, it's 2K and Avowed. So that's what I've got going on. Let's actually get into a real topic here. Um, first of all, I mean, I think we'll start with Fable first of all. And like I was telling you, Ham, this is going to be really interesting for me because I've been unplugged from a lot of stuff that's been going on for like 3 days, 3, 4 days since like Saturday. I've been unplugged from mostly everything that's been going on. I know that Fable was delayed. I know that they showed some gameplay of it. I've not seen the gameplay. In fact, I'm going to go to YouTube now and I'm going to see if I can find just like whatever they showed of that gameplay, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, it was a little bit. It wasn't anything to be like, oh my God, so much to
Yeah.
see. It's nothing like that.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's a 52-second video. Um, but I'm gonna go ahead and bring this up anyway if I can get this up here. But yeah, Fable got
Oh yeah.
delayed to 2026, which I mean, I've always kind of, I mean, obviously I expected 2025 because I said 2025, but like, if there was a game, like if you told me, hey, Microsoft's gonna delay a game this year, I think most people would have probably said of it's probably gonna be Fable. I'm not too surprised that Fable ended up getting delayed, especially considering the fact like we're playing Avowed right now, but you still have Outer Worlds coming this year at some point,
All
and
right.
obviously Doom, South of Midnight, and all that stuff. Like, and plus all the third party stuff that just releases in general. Then you got third party stuff coming to Game Pass. It's like, I mean, why not give Fable a bigger slot to itself? And if they feel like they need the time, then you need the time. But let me see here if I can get this up on the screen. Of course, dude, OBS kind of just stinks sometimes. Just kind of stinks. But okay, so while I'm doing this, what are your thoughts? Are you shocked? Are you surprised? Are you not surprised by the news of Fable being delayed?
I'm not happy about it, but I'm not surprised. I mean, I think it'd be silly to say anybody's happy when they see a delay happen, but
Mm-hmm.
the output of Xbox doesn't have me really shooken on the whole thing because they've been and currently are putting out quite a bit of content. So if they need that extra time, especially in a year where GTA 6 is supposed to be coming out, and if that game comes out polished and Fable comes out and it's not polished, and it's just more of a reason to look at Microsoft like goodness gracious, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Hey, combat.
yeah, there's a little bit of combat to see. It's very little.
Yeah, it is.
Um
It is.
and and I was talking to Loke, and Ty A mentioned it as well. They were talking about kind of the dodging on it, how it doesn't look that superb quite yet. And I kind of agreed with them a little bit, but then I also remember, like Fable has a lot of upgrading that you do within the game to make your combat better and stuff like that. One thing that did
Yeah.
have me kind of a little nervous or anxious is I see a lot of two-handed or like two-handed weapon combat or just sword
Mm-hmm.
and dodging. I'm really hoping that they have that gun, the gun in it. Like they gotta have the gun in it, right? Where you're
Mm-hmm.
able to swing, shoot, swing, shoot, 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 swing, shoot. Like that was what made Fable so kind of unique for me because it was just kind of like that wild kind of combat of dodging around, shooting, sticking and moving quite a bit. I really enjoyed that, and I hope they don't abandon that. But
Hmm.
the horse gameplay looks amazing, and it looks really nice. Kind of reminded me of Red Dead a little bit. Same with the level of detail that they put into like seemingly like the cutscenes or like the things leading up to the next thing that's going to happen. Seems like they really paid attention to the detail. Like, I mean, bro pulls out the pan and puts it on, the trap, and it looks really cool, right? It looks really clean.
Hmm.
So, and gameplay doesn't look too much different from the from the cutscenes. So, if they keep up on that, then I feel like they're gonna crush it with this game. I just hope that they can respect the old while introducing some of the new stuff.
Yeah, I mean, dude, what we're seeing. So I would say I don't think the combat animations are there quite yet. But then also in giant letters at the bottom of the screen, it's pre-alpha footage. So it's like, okay, like it looks good given the fact that we're seeing pre-alpha footage. I mean, you see pre-alpha footage of some games, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, what is this? Um, I think for pre-alpha footage, this looks about right, like about what I expect. And what I'll say in terms of like what I expect from this, I think this will be the most. I think this will be the biggest game for Xbox this generation, probably. And that is if
It
it's done.
looks like it.
Yeah, if it's done right, of course. That's all hinging on the fact that they do it right. It comes out. It's well received. People enjoy it. It all hinges on all these factors, right? But if they line those up, it does well. People enjoy it, and it scores well. Whatever you want to say. I think this is the biggest game for Xbox this generation, unless Elder Scrolls 6 comes out this gen, which I don't think it will. But Ty in the chat says Microsoft is a publisher now, so they need to make sure they drop high quality games, especially now that it's going multi-platform. They have the chance to be the literally the biggest slash best or best slash biggest publisher. I think. Here's the thing on that. I think whether they're a publisher or a third party publisher or not, that should be their goal. That should have been their goal always since like the beginning of fucking forever. That should have been their goal. But now, especially now that they seemingly are leaning a lot more, they don't seem to be shy about it anymore. Seemingly are leaning a lot more into the whole third party publisher thing. Then even more so, yes, I agree with you. Ty says at Ham, one thing that's interesting is they don't really have to respect the old game if the game is going on every platform. But I do think we will
That's
see
bullshit.
typical. Well,
That's
yeah,
bullshit.
I disagree with him on this, but he says, but I do
That
think we
that
will
that
see
was like a
typical
lame ass statement. I'm sorry. That
Fable
doesn't make any
comedy, which is
sense.
good. I agree. I agree with you. I agree with you. Honestly, I don't.
Why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it have any similarities to the past game? Like that. That doesn't make any sense.
It's also the
Like
fact you have.
I just don't get that.
Plus, I mean, we've heard them talk about the game before. I mean, granted, we've only seen what they've shown us of the game, which isn't like a huge amount, but we've heard them talk about it and how they are inspired, how they are whatever you want to call it, inspired by the original games. Um, we all know, like to me, it would just be whether the game goes to PlayStation or not. You could put it on a fucking Switch for all I care. Like the fact is that it has for players on Xbox and players who, you know, like went from Xbox to PC or Xbox to PlayStation to PC or whatever combo of things or Xbox to PlayStation. For the players who have played Fable before, the fact that a new Fable exists, they're going to have certain expectations, and you need to both cater to those fans but also bring in new people, which I don't have any doubt that they'll do. I really don't have any doubt that they'll do that. He says if Fable
There's.
wasn't.
I need to know. I need to know a particular time where any sort of IP has done one thing without respecting the source material and got away with it.
Yeah. Well, okay, so Tae, to your point, he brings up God of War in 2018. And to that I would
It
say
still
God,
respected the source material.
I would say that very much respected the source material, and even if like you didn't pick up on like subtle things, there's very obvious things in that game. The Blades of Chaos. Like if you played the original God of War, when you saw the Blades of Chaos and God of War 2018, that fucking meant something to you. That really meant something to you because you know what those weapons are. You've used those weapons in three, I mean actually like four games if you count Ascension. Four games. So like it means something. Like you don't have to copy and paste everything from Fable 2, which is unanimously like for most people the best Fable. You don't have to copy and paste Fable 2, but it'd be like you brought up God of War, Tae. That's like the perfect template, quite honestly. Is they didn't copy and paste God of War 1, 2, or 3 and God of War 2018, but they did very much pay respect to God of War 1, 2, and 3 and God of War 2018. He says, yeah, source material, sure, but the first game was like isometric. Sure. Like, yeah, you can definitely say, just from a visual standpoint, God of War 2018 and the camera, the whole I think God of War 2018 is a bit more quite a bit more PG than the first
Oh,
three games.
100%.
I don't think anybody would disagree
100%.
with that. But like the references and the important bits that people like are really attached to from the first three games are all still there. It's still there. Like, and I don't think Fable, I mean if they do it right, I don't think it would be any
They
different.
did kind of go a little too Disney, in my opinion, with Kratos. So
They did. Well, I think, dude, I think anything but making Kratos the absolute worst possible person, because that's what he is in the first three games. He is the worst person probably ever in the first three games. And they don't try to make it seem like he's not. So I think
and you
anything
remember what he did to Hercules?
fucked him up. He was fucking everybody up.
Dude, he
And he
just like you just it was just a prompt just to keep hitting the button, just
you
pounding
beat
him in
the
the face.
you just beat the fucking shit out and beat him into a pile of just shit. And like I think anything short of making him again the worst person ever in 2018 is just like they were bound to make it seem kind of like what you said, like Disneyfy it, like because he's not a great person. He's trying to be a better person in 2018, but he's not this amazing fucking person in 2018. It's just compared to his 1, 2, and 3, he's a fucking different person almost. So like it's one of those things like I think God of War 2018 is kind of the perfect template. You take what you did with the older games and you just bring it forward, and then you introduce new things for new players who didn't play the older games. And I think that's the perfect way to approach this. Plus they got the character kicking the chicken at the end, which I think is hilarious. So I mean,
Yeah, Chicken Chaser's back.
that honestly, you know what I
Chicken
might do?
Chaser.
After I play Avowed, I might, I mean, while I'm waiting for Shadows, I might play Fable 2 because I've never beat Fable 2. I beat the first one. Um,
I
and I
still need
tried.
to beat Fable 3. I beat 1 and 2.
I was playing Fable 2 and it's cool, but god damn, man, that motion blur. It's not even the fact that it's 30 FPS. Like, it's 30 FPS, it's 30 FPS, whatever. But dude, that motion blur in Fable 2 is fucking. It's like a goddamn
It's
acid trip.
hardcore.
It's fucking nuts. Feels
It's
like you're on
pretty
drugs.
hardcore.
But yeah, I might do that while I'm waiting for Shadows. We'll see. We'll see what happens though. But
I might go back and play the God of Wars, for the love of God.
I still need to play God of War Ascension. I got that on PS3, and
You got me wanting to play God of War.
that was like the reason I wanted my that and Infamous 2 were like the reasons, and Infamous 1, which I found out fucking sucked. But whatever. Those were the reasons I got my PS3 a couple of years ago, to play the games that I missed out on back in the day. And I still haven't played Ascension, so I might, maybe I'll play Ascension. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I also got what is it? The God of War, like, let me see what it's called.
Trilogy.
It's not the trilogy. It is, here we go. It is the God of War Origins collection, the PSP games. So there's two PSP games, and
Oh, nice.
they remade them in HD on the PS3, and I got that as well. Maybe I'll check that out. We'll see what happens. But yeah,
Like, is that like with the Olympus one and shit?
uh, let me see. Chains of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta.
Yeah, there you go.
I still gotta check that out, so maybe I'll do that this week, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, Fable delayed 2026. He obviously didn't give like a solid date. They didn't even give a solid date for 2025. I would assume,
No,
in
I
fact,
don't think they should.
they shouldn't. But if you had to guess, when do you think it's the end of 2026, or do you think it's somewhere and beginning or middle?
I feel like it's gonna be like if they have Perfect Dark coming out next year. I
Jesus.
feel like they do it when I feel like they do it when Doom comes out next year.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the earliest
Like
they do it.
like right before like that seems like another one of those like right before the showcase to get people hyped, keep them busy, and keep them thinking about Xbox essentially or Microsoft or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I think that's. I mean, it makes sense. I think that's the earliest they would do it, is around May, because I think Fable is a game, like, especially if what I say is true, which, who knows. I think it, like I said, it'll be the biggest game for Xbox this generation. If that's true, and if Xbox believes that to be true, I think you want to release that earliest in May. Um, I think probably towards the end of the year, like after summer, before the Game Awards, obviously, because I mean, almost certainly Xbox wants to be at the Game Awards with Fable. So I would assume September to November, early November, is probably when you want to have that game out. Um, Ty asks, do you think it'll be bigger than Starfield, sales and
Yeah,
players wise? I think it will be bigger than Starfield, because Starfield was a brand new IP, and Starfield, while for a brand new IP, it was very fucking successful. Uh, there's
it's too
no
bad.
there's no question about that, but it wasn't like Fable's an established IP that's been dead for quite some time. Like this is like people have all that hype for, Elder Scrolls 6. This is kind of like Microsoft's Elder Scrolls 6. The
Yeah,
difference,
it's their like OG Xbox like kind of
yes,
thing.
like Skyrim came out. It's nuts how Skyrim's my favorite game of all time, and I can never remember if it came out 2010 or 2011. I want to say I got it 2011 because I got it like a month or so after it released. But it's like the gap between Skyrim and whenever Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, we'll assume what, 2027, 2028. So like that gap is very similar to whenever this comes out in 2026 and Fable 3, which was 2010, I believe. So it's like a massive amount of time in this series without a game. And they gave it to a studio that they seemingly trust the most. And like I said, we've only seen a little bit on the grand scale of things, but what we've seen, it looks good, it looks promising. So to answer your question, I think it will be bigger than Starfield, just off the fact that it's an established thing. We kind of know about
Didn't
it.
another DLC get an like not officially announced, but like kind of talked about for Starfield?
Yeah, they're doing another DLC, the Starborn DLC.
Yeah, see, that's the one thing I'll say about Starfield over. Fable probably is although I think Fable will probably be a more like well received game. I still think Starfield's going to outlast it in time.
Yes, it will.
Just because I
Absolutely,
feel like they're going to
absolutely.
keep making. You got modders that mess with it, like Star.
Mm-hmm.
If they could ever figure out how to like do a 2-player mod on that game, I'm cooked.
Yeah, dude, I 100% agree. I think launch for launch, Fable will have the bigger launch. It'll have the bigger launch period. It'll have the bigger year than Starfield did when Starfield launched. After that year, that's where Starfield outlasts it. And that's not it's not to shit on Fable or it's not to talk down on Playground in any way, shape, or form. It's just that's literally what the engine in Starfield and Bethesda games is for. It's for longevity. It's so that the community can endlessly make content for a game. Dude, the communities there's people making content for fucking Morrowind right now on PC, and that's 2002 is when that game came out. Like, Starfield's gonna have some fucking legs on it. I don't think Fable's gonna have those legs, but it's gonna hit the ground running pretty goddamn hard if they nail it.
There are certain games I feel like that'll kind of grow with time, and I feel
Mm-hmm.
like Starfield's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if they plan on doing any sort of expansions for Avowed and whatnot, it could, but they got to make the expansions more interesting than, or at least whatever voice. If you get another voice in your head, it got to be better than whatever I got now because it stinks.
Just recast the voice as Will Ferrell. Just patch in Will Ferrell as the voice.
Dude, anything kind of like I really don't like listening to Sapadol at
Oh,
all.
I got an idea, Ham. They patch in Kevin Hart as the voice.
Okay, never mind. Maybe
Would,
not anybody.
would that be hitting?
Uh, J Rock would be better than that.
J
You know what
Rock
I'm saying?
with your candy. God. But yeah, Ty also says Bethesda's been silent about Starfield since the last DLC. I hope it's because they're making dope content. I would assume so. Cause like, okay, so for me personally, I like the last. I like well the last DLC. I like the first DLC for Starfield. I
Oh
know a
man,
lot of people. What's up?
I'm just thinking about touching the Adra stone and having it going clack, 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 clack.
Yeah, I I
Oh man.
I liked the Starfield DLC. I know a lot of people didn't. I know a lot of people had issues with that DLC. I think the story was. I thought the story was good until the end, where they gave you a couple of choices that just like the story was good up until that point, and then all those choices they gave you, it just made it feel like, God damn, why did I just do any of what I just did? But like the
I
area, what's up?
and I was gonna say about that story, I didn't exactly fall in love with it. I felt like I enjoyed the car update more than the DLC.
I think a lot of people feel that way. Because, dude, you look at the reviews for that DLC, most people did not like that DLC.
I didn't like it because it felt like it strayed away from what Starfield was kind of like its whole purpose. Its whole purpose was to go around, the galaxy and whatnot and check out stuff and do, you know, exploration. And it felt like in the DLC they turned it into like a Skyrim spot with guns. And it was fun and the new and some of the new stuff in the area was nice, but I just didn't understand why everything had to be on that planet. Like, why can't it be spread around and add
Mm-hmm.
new planets instead of just like I don't even care if they're procedurally generated as long as there's missions to do in it and whatnot. But I just kind of felt like like my spaceship was worthless for the DLC.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got to be honest. That's one of the reasons I like the DLC so much. It's because it reminded me. It was basically them doing Starfield, but Skyrim. Whereas Starfield is kind of what you said. It's about way bigger things than just hey, you're on
Space
this place.
exploration.
Yeah, Starfield's about not tying you to one planet. You go to any of the planets. You do whatever the fuck you want. And I like that. In fact, I fucking love that about Starfield. But I was pretty relieved when I got the DLC and it was like, okay, everything is in one place. I got the vehicle, and dude, the amount of shit that they put in that one place, at least for me, like, dude, I beat it took me like, I don't know, a week to beat that DLC. Probably a little bit longer than that, to be real. The first like 4 days of that, I was hardly doing any missions. I was literally just exploring and finding new things on that map because that is the most dense area with like things to do and places to go and see and whatnot that I've seen in Starfield. Even like the handcrafted like New Atlantis or Neon City or Aquila City, like even those areas were not were not as dense as that area. And I actually kind of liked it. Epic Gamer Mike says Xbox sucks. That's not true. That's not true, Epic Gamer. Why are you listening to an Xbox pod? What if I just crashed out on Mike right now? But no, that was a $5 super chat. Very very much appreciate it, Mike. God bless you. But yeah, so we talked about Fable. Um, some different news, some different uh less fun news. Uh, did you see Monolith?
Yeah,
Monolith getting the axe completely. Which means
yeah.
obviously the Wonder Woman game was canceled along with it. But Monolith getting the axe. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Good old Shadow. What was it? Shadow of Mordor
And
and Shadow
Shadow
of
of
War.
War. Still two games I have
Yeah,
never played, even though I own both of them almost everywhere.
yeah. Ah, man, it's wild because you heard about that whole Nemesis system thing, right?
Yep. They trademark that and nobody can use it for like fucking 10 years or something. Something stupid.
11 years.
There you go. That's good. That's a good deal.
Yeah. So that's something, and I'm kind of disappointed that you know they like so it was three studios that totally shut down. It was
Mm-hmm.
Monolith, a support studio that
I'll
was
find it.
like WB San Diego, and
Uh
also Player First or something like that,
yeah,
or
Player
Player,
First Games, Monolith and Warner
yeah.
Brothers Games San Diego.
Yeah, and Player First was like your like multiverse game, which
Mm-hmm.
they shit the bed on that one pretty hard. Like, I don't understand why that game went offline and then it went back on. Like I don't understand. Like I understand that it was a beta, but you allowed people to pay for stuff in the beta, which is like super
Yep.
slimy.
And then you took it all away. That
And then you took
was
it all away to then say we don't know when we're gonna launch
yeah.
it. Like what the fuck?
That was like the fucking death. Like that was like the death nail for that game and probably that studio, quite frankly, because like when that came out, wasn't it like very like people really loved
It was
that.
popular as shit. Yeah.
People really love that, and then they're just like, hey guys, actually it was a beta, and we know you bought stuff, but don't worry about that. We'll be back at some time, and it's just like leave the
Yeah.
beta up. Let people play. I mean, I understand it's probably more complicated than that, but you should have thought that out a little bit better than to just be like, hey guys, we're taking it away. We know you bought stuff, but that's kind of just too bad.
That's just
Uh,
what that's the whole thing that gets me. It's like I don't understand how you sold people something that you weren't sure if you're gonna keep available. Like
it's
that's
nuts.
so diabolical.
That seems kind of like it should be a little bit illegal, kind of.
Yeah, it does seem like that, right? Like I feel that way. Like I feel like kind of you kind of swindled me a bit. I mean, obviously not me because I ain't paying for that shit. I ain't buying that game,
Yeah, I
and
never
I
got a
ain't
chance to
putting
play it.
money towards it. Nah, I got a chance to play it, and it was like a Smash Brothers kind of game. It was kind of fun and whatnot. It's just, I mean, I like the I like I have a hard time loving knockoffs a whole lot.
Yeah.
Like the knockoff has to be like incredible for me to like it. Like I'm not saying that hey, I'd never play a knockoff, right? Because I'm sure I've played and enjoyed some, but like the ones that I have played and enjoyed had to have been like superior in comparison in my opinion, right?
Hmm.
So I didn't feel like that game was exactly like superior. I just thought it was available on something that wasn't Nintendo, and that's the only thing it had going for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't mind a
And
knockoff game.
and then on top of that, once I seen them do that slimy shit, I was like, well, I really don't for this knockoff.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't blame you. I imagine, like, I can't imagine a staggering amount of players stuck around when they came back if they played the beta, if they invested money in the beta. I can't imagine when they came back, they were probably too excited to hop back in. I mean, unless you're just a fucking maniac, unless you're absolutely insane, in which case then maybe
Well,
you would.
yeah, I'm sure some people needed or not needed, but like felt the need that like, hey, I put money into the game. I really enjoyed it, and when they come back, I'll be there. Like I understand that some people are just fans, like you
Hmm.
become a fan of something. But for somebody like me that kind of liked it, but wasn't like dying dying
We're
for
talking
it to
about
see what
multi
they
versus
did
Mike.
completely shut me off.
Yeah. Yeah, we're talking about multi versus Mike, by the way. He's asking in the chat what game. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it sucks. It sucks. I mean, that whole situation fucking sucked. Now we got the closure of that studio plus Monolith, which Monolith has been around since what, like the '90s, I think. It's because I didn't they just celebrate like 30 years not too long ago, if I'm not mistaken. So they've been around for a fucking minute, and now they're just dead. Which I mean, obviously you would assume Wonder Woman is canceled, like they said, but then you would also assume probably not going to get another Shadow game anytime soon, if at all, ever again. So that's a bummer. Plus, dude, the combat system that they had. I mean, the little bit I did play of Shadow, of Mordor, and I played some of Shadow of War. The combat system they had in that game was just. Did they do Mad Max also?
That's a good question.
Mike will know the answer to that question. Mike, if you're there in the chat, let me know. Did Monolith do
I
Mad
don't think
Max?
so. I thought it was. I thought it was. Let me see. I want to say Avalanche, but I don't know.
I know Avalanche worked on Mad Max. I can't remember if they did the whole thing or if it was Monolith that did it. But regardless, the combat system and
Yeah, it was Avalanche,
okay.
Avalanche, Feral, and Fatalist.
Okay. So oh yeah, so the
Yeah, I was
game I
right.
was thinking
Avalanche. Ha, let's
yeah, the
go.
game I was thinking about was Rage 2, where they had Avalanche do the car combat and then they had id do everything else. So but yeah, I was saying Shadow, the combat in Shadow is fucking great, and it's always great in the WB games for whatever reason. Like ever since Batman, Arkham Asylum, it just feels like they all kind of share the same combat system and let each other use it. And that combat system is fucking perfect. It was perfect in Arkham Asylum and every Batman game for that matter. It was perfect in Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor. It was fucking perfect in Mad Max. Like, I don't know a game that they've made where the combat has been shit. At least the ones I played. So they nailed that stuff. So it sucks that we're not going to see any more of that. That is very unfortunate, but it does make me want to play Shadow of Mordor at some point. So maybe I'll get around to that. But going on to the next thing we have here, which is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. We talked about this on Friday on your channel for Bullsitting. And
Uh-huh.
I remember I might have even talked about it before or after the show as well. But I remember you saying we're getting a new Tony Hawk's Pro Skater game, and I was like, I think it'll be a 3 and 4 remaster, and you're like, I hope not. well,
Yeah, I hope not.
well, I think it's gonna be. They haven't officially confirmed 3 and 4 remaster, but it's lining up
God
very
damn it.
hard. It's lining up very hard to be a 3 and 4 remaster because it's on 3/4/25. It's on March 4th, 2025. So I mean,
Well, that stinks.
unless that's a fucking massive coincidence. Plus, I don't know if you saw Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. This is one of the things I did see over the past couple of days. Is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 was rated in Singapore for like Xbox, PS5, and PC and all that stuff. So looks like it's a 3 and 4 remaster, which I know you weren't thrilled to the idea of that. Me personally, I mean, if it's especially if it's coming to Game Pass, I'll for sure play it because I used to fucking love those games. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. It would have been cool to see like a new entry in the series, but I'm not gonna turn down a 3 and 4 remaster for sure. But what are your thoughts now that it seems like we can all but confirm it is 3 and 4? What are your thoughts?
I'm holding out hope. That's what my thoughts are.
You're holding out hope. It's gonna be Tony Hawk Pro
Holding
Skater
out.
5.
Didn't
Just
did they
gonna.
not already have a five?
I don't think they had a 5. I mean, if they had a 5, then I missed it. I'm gonna look that up. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5. If this exists, then I fucking really. Oh my god, they did have a 5. Holy shit, on Xbox One.
Yeah, yeah. And now you see why I don't want to see a 3 and 4. Just because
Well,
what are they gonna do? The fifth one after that?
you
The
bet.
one you never heard of that got a 32% on Metacritic?
Did it really?
Yeah, I got a 3.5 at it from IGN. This is terrible.
That's really
I mean, if
tragic.
we're using their scores, but I'm just gonna throw it out there that it didn't look that appealing personally.
Yeah. I'm looking at some I'm looking at some of these reviews for Pro Skater 5. It is at a 32 on Metacritic. The user score overwhelming dislike 1.5 out of 10. Uh this guy just gave it a 1. He he gave it a 1 out is that out of 100 or is that out of a 10? Regardless, either way that's not good. Um but dude, I didn't even know that game existed. That's hilarious. Uh but shit. Yeah, if they do a 3 and 4, man. If they do a 3 and 4, I would assume they're gonna do a 5, but honestly, given what I'm looking at for this Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, whether you do the 3 and 4 or not, I'd say just go to 6. Just go to 6 after this. Don't do 5, because apparently people really hated 5, so don't do that. But yeah, I mean,
Why not? Just go for it.
I don't unless you're like completely remaking everything, which apparently everybody, I mean, looking at these reviews, people have a problem with everything this game has to offer. So unless you're like remaking fucking everything, then in which case, then hey, go for it. You know, make your money, I guess. But like, from judging from these reviews, I feel like if they were to remake five, it would almost have to be the same way that EA would have to remake Dead Space 3. Although Dead Space 3, to be fair to that game, it didn't score 32 points on Metacritic. So I think it was in like the 70s. So it was generally reviewed a solid game. Whereas this is generally reviewed fucking horrendous. So I don't know. But me personally, I'm excited. Like I said, especially if it's in Game Pass, I'll definitely check it out. Plus, dude, the music in Tony Hawk Pro Skater fucking slaps. It did back in the day, and it does on the remake 1 and 2 remake. Fucking amazing. So looking forward to it. Do you think we will see a new Tony Hawk Pro Skater game at any point? I mean, we're getting remakes. Do you think we'll see a
Yeah,
new
no, no,
entry?
no. It's coming soon. It's coming soon.
Okay, so you're gonna hold out hope for that. Ham's gonna hold out hope for
Yep.
that. It's coming soon, according to Ham. It's gonna be announced March 4th, 3/4, 25. It's gonna be announced. So look forward to that and not Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake. Um, I'm
Yep. What they're
gonna.
gonna do is they're gonna say you can play 3 and 4 now, and we're coming out with a new Tony Hawk.
Uh, that's cool. That'd be awesome. That'd be really sick. I think that would be the way to do
That
it.
way I can. That way I don't have to acknowledge 3 and 4, even though Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 is goaded. Um,
Oh fuck yeah!
I just really want. I just really want to hear about a new edition. The remake thing is just so unsatisfying for me personally. I'll 100% play 3 and 4. It's just if that's all I have to look forward to, it's not that satisfying.
That's fair. I mean, that's totally fair. But yeah, 3 and 4 announcement coming up March 4th. Look forward to that. It seems like. But yeah, I mean, unless I'm missing something big that we haven't talked about, I see Xbox added some more games to their stream your own games. Uh, Looks like they're adding Atomic Heart to that as well. Recently added titles include
Mid.
Blasphemous 2, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, so if you've got that, you can stream that. Slime Rancher 2, Subnautica, Subnautica Below Zero, The Talos Principle, and Tomb Raider 4 through whatever the fuck. I suck at Roman numerals remastered. Looks like 4 through 6. Yeah. IV is 4 and VI is 6, right? Because V is 5 and then VI, yeah, it's 6. So yeah, look forward to that. I mean, if you own any of those games. Looking at the games that are coming up though: Atomic Heart, Cult of the Lamb, Hotline Miami, Killer Frequency, Neva or Neva. I'm never sure how to pronounce that. Overcooked, All You Can Eat, Phantom Breaker,
Never.
Battlegrounds. I never know how to pronounce it. Am I right? Serious Sam Collection, Trepang 2. Let's fucking go. Worms and Worms Armageddon Anniversary Edition. So that's what we can look forward to in the whole Stream Your Own Game program coming sometime soon. So get those if you're interested. But other than that, dude, I don't know if there's anything that I missed. I'm looking at VGC right now and I don't see anything particularly interesting. I see they reported on. I'm at the news on their website, and like one of their recent articles is like Fallout New Vegas developer joins Obsidian. It's like, motherfucker, that was like 2 weeks ago. What are we talking about? But yeah,
Um, I do. God dang it! What was I gonna say? Can't even remember now.
Love Orange Soda.
No, that would be a
Uh,
pretty neat thing to say though. But
Would
no,
be.
I think yeah. I mean, I guess it's not that important. I can't remember, so it is what it is.
That's totally fair. But yeah, let's get into the outros here. Ham, start us off. Let them know where they can find you. Let them know what you're up to and all that stuff.
Yep, you can find me on my channel, TSWS Game, and I'll be there tomorrow morning doing a stream. Mass Effect, playing that game. Still on Mass Effect 1. Pretty deep into the game, but still got a little ways to go because I'm doing side missions and stuff like that. But that's where you can check me out, 9:30 Eastern AM.
Nice. Link to that channel in the description. Like you said, plays Mass Effect. Streaming the whole trilogy. So every day, for the most part, I know you've been off a couple of days on that, but for the most part, every day, every morning over on his channel. Check that out. And then obviously, I'm on his channel Fridays, 4 p.m. Eastern for bullsitting. So check that out as well. And then for myself, you can find me here. Podcast every week. Didn't do it, like, I've been out of it the last couple of days, so I didn't do the show on Monday. But normally we have Mondays, 8 p.m. Eastern, for the L3R3 podcast with myself, Hard Days Mike, and it's me, Tawan. Wednesdays, this show right here, 8 p.m. Eastern, for the Two Player Podcast, myself and Ham Solo. And then, like I mentioned earlier, Fridays, 4 p.m. Eastern, on Ham Solo's channel, TSWS Gaming, with myself, Loke, Ham, Cozy, Mental 9R, and a guest, usually a pretty awesome guest over there. So check that out. But that's where you can find me. Oh, videos here every week as well. Might be working on a video later this week. We'll see. I might take the week off. I don't know yet. But there is stuff to talk about. I do want to talk about it, so maybe I'll make a video this week. We'll see what happens. But yeah, look forward to that. But with that being said, we're going to hop up out of here. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.